What if I told you that living alone after 60 is not the loneliest chapter of your life, but the freest? In this video, I want to share with you 10 benefits of living alone after 60 that nobody talks about. These are not surface-level observations. These are deep, life-changing realizations that can help you see this chapter not as an ending, but as a beginning. And I promise you, some of these are going to surprise you. Let me ask you, what is the most unexpected gift living alone has given you? Something you never saw coming, but cannot imagine living without now. Please share it in the comments. Okay, let me tell you about Frank. Frank is 67. He has been living alone for 3 years now, since his divorce was finalized. For the first 6 months, he said the silence nearly drove him crazy. He would turn on the TV just to hear voices. He would stay out longer than he needed to, just to avoid coming home to an empty house. But then something shifted. One evening, he realized he had been sitting in his favorite chair for an hour, just watching the light change through the window. No TV, no distractions, just him and the quiet. And for the first time in decades, he felt calm. I started to hear myself think again, he told me. Not the voice that is always solving problems or worrying about everyone else. The real me. The one I had forgotten was even in there. Before I get to benefit number 1, and trust me, this is going to resonate with a lot of you, let me ask you to do something. If this is speaking to you, if you are navigating this chapter of life and looking for wisdom that actually gets it, subscribe to this channel. I make these videos for men like us who are done performing and ready to live authentically. Benefit number 1, true freedom. The first benefit of living alone that nobody talks about is true freedom. When you live alone, you answer to no one. You eat when you are hungry. You sleep when you are tired. You watch what you want, read what interests you, spend your Saturday exactly how you choose. There is no negotiation, no compromise, no keeping the peace. For men who have spent decades being providers, protectors, peacekeepers, this freedom feels almost rebellious. And it should. Because for the first time in your adult life, you get to put yourself first without guilt. You can leave dishes in the sink overnight if you want. You can have cereal for dinner. Or you can spend 3 hours on a Sunday morning doing absolutely nothing, and nobody is going to make you feel lazy for it. This is not selfishness. This is self-recovery. Benefit number 2, the healing power of quiet. The second benefit is even more powerful, the healing power of quiet. I know what you are thinking. Quiet can feel like the enemy. It amplifies everything you do not want to hear, the regrets, the losses, the what-ifs that wake you up at 3 in the morning. But here is what I have learned. Silence is like medicine. It burns at first. But if you let it do its work, it heals. When you live alone, you cannot outrun your thoughts anymore. You have to face them. And in facing them, really sitting with the grief, the anger, the disappointment, you start to process them. You stop carrying them around like stones in your pockets. The quiet becomes a place where your nervous system finally gets to rest, where you are not performing, not managing, not putting on a brave face. You are just there, present, real, and slowly that silence transforms from something painful into something sacred. Benefit 3, complete control over your space. The third benefit is one that surprised me when I first understood it. Complete control over your space. When you live alone, your home becomes truly yours. Not a shared space. Not a compromise between tastes and preferences. Yours. You can arrange the furniture exactly how you want it. You can keep the thermostat where you like it. You can have your coffee set up just so, your reading chair in the perfect spot by the window, your tools organized in a way that makes sense to you and no one else. This might sound trivial, but it is not. Environmental psychologists have known for years that having control over your living space directly impacts mental health. It reduces stress. It increases feelings of security and self-worth. It gives you a sense of agency in a world that often makes older men feel invisible and powerless. Your home becomes a reflection of who you are, not who you were expected to be. And that matters more than you might think. I met a guy named Richard at a coffee shop last year. He is 71, lives alone in a small apartment downtown. He told me something I will never forget. For 40 years I lived in a house that never felt like mine, he said. It was decorated the way my wife wanted. The TV was always on her shows. Even the food in the fridge was not really for me. When I moved into my own place, I bought the ugliest, most comfortable recliner you have ever seen. My kids hate it. I love it. And for the first time in my life, I do not care what anyone thinks about my furniture. He laughed when he said it, but I could see what it meant to him. It was not about the chair. It was about finally having permission to exist on his own terms. Benefit number 4, rediscovering who you are. Beyond your roles, the fourth benefit cuts even deeper, rediscovering who you are beyond your roles. For most of your life, you have been defined by what you do for others. You were a husband, a father, a provider, an employee, a problem solver, a rock. Those roles are not bad. They gave your life meaning, but somewhere along the way, they can also bury who you actually are underneath all those responsibilities. Living alone strips away those roles, sometimes painfully, but what is left is the raw material of you, your actual interests, your real values, the things that make you curious, that make you laugh, that make you feel alive. Maybe you discover you actually enjoy cooking when it is just for yourself. Maybe you realize you love early mornings or late nights in a way you never could when you were on someone else's schedule. Maybe you pick up that guitar again or start reading history or find yourself taking long walks just because you want to think. This is not about reinventing yourself. It is about uncovering yourself, getting back to the man you were before life covered you in expectations. Tom is 64. He told me that living alone gave him something unexpected, permission to be boring. I thought I needed to be interesting, he said. For my wife, for my kids, for everyone, I felt like I had to have plans, had to be doing something important. Now, I spend my evenings listening to jazz and doing crossword puzzles, and I am happier than I have been in 20 years. Turns out I was never that exciting to begin with, and I am okay with that now. That is the gift, not becoming someone new, just being allowed to be yourself without apology. Benefit number 5, financial freedom and clarity. The fifth benefit is practical but profound, financial freedom and clarity. When you live alone, especially at this age, your financial picture often simplifies dramatically. The mortgage might be paid off, the kids are independent. You are not funding anyone else's life anymore. This does not mean you are rich. It means you have agency. You get to decide what your money does. You can spend on what brings you comfort or joy, good coffee, a decent chair, a trip you have always wanted to take without justifying it to anyone. There is a shift that happens from seeing money as obligation to seeing it as choice. And that shift is liberating in ways that go beyond the bank account. You are no longer spending to keep up appearances or meet someone else's expectations. You are spending or not spending based on what actually matters to you. That clarity reduces financial anxiety and restores a sense of control that many men have not felt since their 20s. Benefit number 6, improved mental health. The sixth benefit is one that catches most men off guard. Improved mental health. When you live alone, the constant hum of external expectations finally goes quiet. You are not performing anymore. not managing someone else's emotions, not walking on eggshells or biting your tongue to keep the peace. Your nervous system gets to rest. For men who have spent decades in high-stress roles, whether that is a demanding career, a difficult marriage, or just the accumulated weight of being responsible for everyone else, this relief is profound. The background anxiety that you did not even realize you were carrying starts to lift. Yes, loneliness can still show up. I am not going to pretend it does not. But here is what I have noticed. Loneliness is a lot easier to handle when it is not mixed with resentment, obligation, or emotional exhaustion. When you are alone by choice, or when you have made peace with being alone, the loneliness loses its sharp edges. It becomes something you can sit with, work through, and eventually transform into solitude. And solitude, unlike loneliness, is a gift. It is the difference between feeling abandoned and feeling free, between isolation and independence. Studies back this up, by the way. Research shows that older adults who live alone but maintain control over their environment and social connections report lower stress levels and better emotional regulation than those in contentious living situations. Sometimes, peace is worth more than company. Benefit number 7, deeper, more meaningful relationships. The 7th benefit might be the most counterintuitive, deeper, more meaningful relationships. You would think living alone would make you more isolated, and sure, you might see people less often, but something interesting happens when you are not around others all the time. The relationships you do have become intentional. You stop maintaining friendships out of habit or obligation. You stop showing up to things because you are supposed to. Instead, you invest in the connections that actually feed your soul. Maybe you have coffee with your son once a week, and those conversations go deeper than they ever did when you lived together. Maybe you have a few real friends, not dozens of acquaintances, but 3 or 4 people who actually know you, and you make time for them deliberately. Quality replaces quantity. Depth replaces breadth. And here is the thing. When you are more at peace with yourself, you show up differently in relationships. You are not looking for people to complete you or fix you or distract you from your own life. You are choosing to connect because you want to, not because you need to. That changes everything. Marcus is 69, he lives alone, but has dinner with his daughter every Tuesday and plays poker with 3 old friends every other Friday. That is it. That is his social life. I used to think I needed to be around people all the time, he said. But now I realize those few connections matter more than all the superficial ones I used to maintain. My daughter and I actually talk now, like, really talk. And my poker buddies, those guys know me better than anyone. I would take that over a full social calendar any day. Benefit number 8, renewed confidence and self-reliance. The 8th benefit is quiet but powerful, renewed confidence and self-reliance. When you live alone, you handle things yourself. You fix what breaks. You figure out what you do not know. You manage your own days, your own problems, your own life, and every time you do, you prove something to yourself. You are still capable. This is not the loud confidence of youth, all bravado and bluster. This is the steady confidence of experience, the knowledge that you can handle what comes, that you do not need anyone to save you or take care of you, that you are still strong, still competent, still here. Every small task, changing your own oil, cooking a good meal, organizing your finances, learning something new, becomes a quiet affirmation. I have got this. I am okay. I can do this on my own. That self-trust is irreplaceable. It is what carries you through the challenges of aging with dignity intact. Benefit number 9, joy in the simple moments. And finally, the 9th benefit, the one that ties everything together, joy in the simple moments. When life slows down and you are living on your own terms, you start to notice things you used to rush past. The way morning light comes through the kitchen window, The taste of coffee when you are not drinking it in a hurry, the sound of rain on the roof, the satisfaction of a book that makes you think. These are not consolation prizes for a life that is winding down. These are the things that were always there, waiting for you to finally pay attention. Living alone gives you the space to be present, to appreciate what is, rather than always chasing what is next. And in that presence, you find a different kind of happiness, not the excitement of achievement or acquisition, but the deep contentment of simply being alive and aware. This is where joy lives in the second half of life, not in the big moments, but in the quiet ones, not in what you accomplish, but in what you notice. Benefit 10. A legacy of authenticity. But there is one more benefit I need to mention, the 10th one that might be the most important of all, a legacy of authenticity. When you live alone and finally embrace who you truly are, something shifts in how others see you. Your kids, your friends, even acquaintances, they start to notice something different. You are not performing anymore. You are not pretending to be someone you are not. And that honesty, it becomes your real legacy. Not the career you had, not the house you owned, not the image you maintained for decades, but the example of a man who had the courage to live truthfully, even when it was hard, even when society said you should be someone else. Your children watch you create a life on your own terms, and they learn that it is okay to do the same. Your authenticity gives them permission to be authentic. Your peace shows them that happiness does not come from meeting everyone else's expectations, it comes from meeting your own. Living alone strips away all the pretense. There is no audience to perform for, no one to impress. And in that stripping away, you become more real, more honest, more yourself than you have ever been. That is what you leave behind. Not a perfect life, but a true one, and that matters more than you might think. I think about a conversation I had with David, a 72-year-old who has been living alone for almost a decade now. He told me something that stuck with me. I spent the first 60 years of my life trying to get somewhere, he said. Better job, bigger house, more respect. I was always looking ahead, always climbing. Now I sit on my porch in the evening and watch the sun go down, and I finally get it. This is it. This moment right here. This is what I was working toward all along. I just did not know it. That is the secret that living alone can teach you. Life is not happening somewhere else to someone else in some future version of your days. It is happening right now, in the stillness, in the ordinary moments that you finally have the space to experience fully. Now, I want to be honest with you. Living alone is not always easy. There are hard days, days when the quiet feels too heavy, days when you wish someone was there to share a laugh or a meal, or just sit with you while you watch the game. Those days are real, and they matter. This is not about pretending everything is perfect or that solitude never hurts. But here is what I have learned from talking to dozens of men who have walked this path. Those hard days get easier when you have made peace with where you are, when you have stopped fighting reality and started building a life within it that actually feels like yours. Living alone after 60 is not a consolation prize. It is not what happens when life does not go according to plan. It is a legitimate chapter, one with its own gifts, its own wisdom, its own kind of beauty. It is a chance to finally live on your own terms, to heal the parts of yourself that got damaged along the way, to discover who you are when you are not performing for anyone else, to build a life that reflects your actual values instead of everyone else's expectations. It is an opportunity to become the man you always had the potential to be, but never had the space to explore. And yes, it takes courage, it takes work. You have to learn to sit with yourself, and that is harder than it sounds. You have to face the parts of your story that still hurt. You have to build new routines, new sources of meaning, new ways of connecting with the world. But on the other side of that work is something remarkable, a life that is genuinely yours, a peace that does not depend on anyone else, a confidence that comes from knowing you can stand on your own 2 feet, no matter what. Think about what living alone has already taught you. Maybe it has shown you that you are more resilient than you thought. Maybe it has revealed interests or strengths you did not know you had. Maybe it has given you the space to grieve what you needed to grieve so you can finally move forward. Whatever it is teaching you, pay attention. This is important work. This is you becoming whole. And here is the thing about wholeness. It does not require another person to complete you. It does not require perfect circumstances or a different past. It just requires you showing up for yourself day after day with patience and honesty and a willingness to keep going. You can create a home that feels like sanctuary. You can build a daily rhythm that brings you peace. You can cultivate relationships that matter and let go of ones that drain you. You can rediscover old passions or stumble into new ones. You can forgive yourself for what you got wrong and honor yourself for what you got right. You can wake up in the morning and feel grateful for the quiet. You can go to bed at night knowing that you lived the day on your own terms. You can look in the mirror and recognize the man looking back, not the role he played, but the person he actually is. That is what living alone after 60 can give you. Not isolation, but integration. Not loneliness, but wholeness. Not an ending, but a beginning. So if you are living alone right now, I want you to hear this. You are not doing it wrong. You are not behind. You have not failed at life because you ended up here. You are exactly where you need to be to discover something essential about yourself. Something you could not have learned any other way. This is your time, your space, your chance to finally be free. The world might look at men living alone and see loss, but you know better. You are living proof that there is another story here, one of strength, dignity, and quiet transformation. So embrace the quiet. Make your space yours. Rediscover who you are beneath all those years of responsibility. Build a life that honors what you have learned and makes room for what you are still becoming. You are not alone in this. There are thousands of us walking this same path, learning these same lessons, discovering these same gifts. And we are finding that living alone does not mean living small. It means living true. That is the real gift. Not the circumstances themselves, but what you choose to build within them. The man you choose to become when no one is watching, when no one is judging, when it is just you and the rest of your life stretching out ahead of you. Make it count. Make it yours. Make it beautiful in whatever way that means to you, because this chapter, it is not the end of your story. It is where you finally get to write it yourself.